My fellow prophecy student, greetings. There's a passage of scripture I would like to share with you from the prophetic word, after which we are going to examine its implications for planet Earth. It is taken from the first verses of Revelation 13. Here's what it says. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? The 13th chapter of the book of Revelation predicted that the world will do a most unlikely thing. It is about a vision by the prophet John foretelling how the world will experience a religious revolution that will elicit the spontaneous support of the vast majority. From a careful study of Revelation 13, the conclusion seems inevitable that Satan's ambition to be worshipped as a god will one day be realized. According to the prophet John, when the beast recovered from his deadly wound, the whole world will be amazed. In their astonishment, they will not only worship the beast, but the dragon as well. And we all know that the Bible's interpretation for this dragon symbol is that old serpent called the devil and Satan. When one considers the extent to which the world hates Satan, it is unthinkable for the same world to then turn around and give him adoration. The average man in the world today, both Christians and worldlings alike, will violently recoil from the idea of giving homage to a person whom they consider to be the originator and personification of pure evil. Therefore, the question remains, how will this wily enemy of souls pull off such a feat in getting the world to honor him in spite of their passionate hatred for him? Are we to believe that one day the world will suddenly wake up to the idea that the God of heaven sucks and decide to give their praises to his enemy? While Revelation 13 provides adequate information concerning how the world will worship Satan, we will also get insight concerning his track record in the field of deceit if we study his modes of operation from the testimonies of other Bible writers. In order for us to properly analyze this whole scenario in the 13th chapter of Revelation, we need to examine the prophecy in the same way a detective would examine a crime scene. When a detective is analyzing a crime scene, he will have to get into the mind of the criminal in order to find out why the crime is committed a particular way. The devil is well aware of how the world thinks of him. The world is well cultured in the awareness that the name Satan is always associated with evil, wickedness, and every other detestable thing. The devil knows that if he should present himself in his true identity, he will be immediately repulsed. In view of this, he must be aware that whatever he hopes to accomplish will not be successfully executed by him saying, I am Satan, worship me, and I will reward you with money and power. That strategy will obviously not work. He will have to resort to deception in order to accomplish his aims. Deceit is a practice that Satan is famous for. He succeeded in deceiving a third of the heavenly host, and he is now succeeding in deceiving the vast majority of Earth's population. In fact, the Bible clearly teaches us that Satan is such a cunning deceiver that he deceiveth the whole world. Revelation 12 and verse 9. In my study of Revelation 12 and 13, in conjunction with other passages of scriptures, I have identified 3 possible strategies by which Satan will get the world to give him the homage he wants. Here they are. 1. He will use disguise. 2. He will use impersonation. And 3. He will use religion. We are now going to briefly examine each strategy and assess their merits to see how effective they can be to accomplish the fulfillment of Revelation 13 and verse 4. Strategy number 1. The use of disguise. Satan will certainly not appear in his capacity as a fallen angel. He will not announce the fact that he is Satan and that he wants the world to worship him. The devil is much more ingenious than that. You will recall how he deceived Eve into partaking of the forbidden fruit. He did not come and say, "I am Satan, and I command you to eat of this forbidden fruit." Had he done that, Eve would not have listened to him. Instead, what he did was to use the effective disguise of a crafty serpent to execute his objectives. And that's the reason why we are where we are today. Strategy number 2, the use of impersonation. Satan can impersonate anybody he wants. What people claim to have seen, believing it to be the spirit of their dead relatives, are actually the apparitions of demons. Their objective is to deceive the world into believing that when a man dies, he is transitioned into a higher state of consciousness and can still communicate with the living. But Satan is going to do something even worse than that. It is not enough for the enemy to simply deceive us into believing that he is somebody else. We believing that he is other than what he truly is will not necessarily put him in a position to influence world affairs. For instance, it would be foolish for him to impersonate a dead politician because people generally regard these individuals with much cynicism. What Satan wanted is a disguise that will put him in a position to influence the world and compel them to render him willing obedience and worship. I am putting it to you that the only way to accomplish this is to impersonate Christ. The devil knows that if Christ is to present himself on earth today, just about everybody would want to worship him. Therefore, with the perception that he is Christ, the vast majority of the world will render him willing service and adoration. Are we not warned against the presence of false Christ in the latter days? And have we not been warned against seeking to find Christ in a particular location? I find it interesting that Jesus himself has warned us that those who will persecute the Christians will think that they are doing it in obedience to God. Warnings like these would hardly make sense if a conspiracy to impersonate Christ was not afoot. Strategy number 3, the use of religion. Because the people will believe that they are being directed by Christ, what do you think they will do? Yes, they are going to be led to introduce what the devil wants them to introduce, a new religious order. People generally warm to religion. When you give them religion, you are answering to their deepest spiritual and emotional desires, and human beings are naturally worshipful creatures. Therefore, Satan, under a messianic disguise, will introduce religion, but it will be one that is calculated to direct worship to himself. For me, this is the most reasonable explanation I can come up with as to how the world will pay homage to Satan. The interesting thing about prophecy in general is that they do not usually fulfill according to popular expectations, and part of the reason is that many prophecy students very often try to give meanings to things that are already clear. In order for this new religious order to succeed, it will not be enough if it is only supported by well-known enemies of the gospel, like the Church of Satan or the various secret societies. A way will have to be found to elicit the support of the masses. This cannot be accomplished without the influence of popular preachers. It may well be that the church you love so much is not the ideal hiding place from this seismic shift in religious thinking. The only way you can escape this global apostasy is to fortify your mind with Bible truths that you may be able to quench the fiery darts of the enemy. For further information on how you can survive the most massive deception the world will ever encounter, click the link in the video or the link below to get started with the End Time Prophecy e-course. It is www.prophecyecourse.com. Hope you are blessed by this video. Thanks for watching.